I'm taking care of a local farm for a few weeks. They left me a strange set of rules. Part 1. A few miles north of me, there's a little family-owned farm. The family takes a vacation in July, though, and they posted a job listing for a caretaker. My job would include feeding the animals, making sure the irrigation is working, and harvesting some crops. It's a small operation, so it's not fields and fields of stuff. Plus, they were offering $2,000. At the time, that seemed like an amazing deal. Now, I'm not so sure. See, the Gershons left me detailed instructions in the envelope, along with half of the stipend. And as I sat down to read it, I realized that it sounded a little strange. Dear Emily, thank you for taking care of our farm. To ensure your safety and happiness and the animals, we've included a list of instructions and tasks. 1. Please feed the goats and chickens at 6 a.m. sharp. They get pretty cranky if it's not on time. Smiley face. 2. You will need to prune off the floricans in the raspberry patch. To do this, cut the canes, branches, that are woody and have already fruited. Wear thick gloves because there are thorns. If you do get cut, immediately head inside and call Dr. Livesey to make sure your wound is not infected. 3. The sunflower field is easy to maintain and brings beauty to our farm. However, if you ever see a sunflower that isn't facing the same direction as the others, immediately head inside. Do not return to the sunflower field until the following day. 4. The farm is, as you know, surrounded by forest. Sometimes we get coyotes, foxes, or other wild animals prowling about the grounds at night. Don't worry, the animal pens are completely secure and there is no need to check on the animals if you hear anything at night. In fact, we recommend you do not leave the farmhouse between sunset and sunrise. 5. Do not enter the corn maze. Even if you hear noises coming from the maze that sound like a child crying, do not enter. The corn maze is not open to visitors yet. It's most likely the bobcats in the woods. 6. Do not be alarmed if you see the goats awake in the middle of the night. They are semi-nocturnal and often wake up to roam, graze, or use the bathroom. 7. You may help yourself to any of the fruits or vegetables you harvest. However, do not eat the apples from the northwest corner of the orchard. 8. We no longer use scarecrows. If you see one, please return to the house, lock all the doors, and close all the curtains. Stay inside until the following morning. 9. Make sure to always stock the farm stand twice a day, in the morning and again in the afternoon. At night, take all unsold produce inside and store it in the refrigerator. 10. We do not own any pigs. Thank you so very much, Emily. The Gershons. I glanced out the window. The sun was hanging low over the trees, orange rays filtering through the forest. Damn it, if I'm not supposed to be out after dark because of the wolves or whatever, I better get cracking. I walked over to the goats first. They huddled close to me as I filled their food bins, staring at me with their weird slit pupils. I tried to get it done as quickly as possible. Goats, honestly, freaked me out a little bit. As I hurried away, one with black and white fur pushed its little face through the fence. Maia, it bleated, staring at me. The chickens were more skeptical of me, staring at me and letting out long bow walks as they bobbed their heads. As soon as they realized I had food, though, they came over and pecked the ground. They were pretty cute, actually. I locked the gate and turned back towards the house. I froze. Across the field from me stood the field of sunflowers. Bright golden petals and dark centers, swaying slightly in the wind. But while all of them tilted away from me, facing the dying sun, one of them, near the edge of the field, was instead facing me. I stared at its pitch-black center. Didn't the note say something about that? Go inside if one of the sunflowers is pointing a different way? I locked up the chicken gate. Then I strode across the grass towards the old farmhouse, still carrying the bag of chicken feed. I was halfway to the house when I turned around again. I wish I hadn't. The sunflower was still facing me. Even though, based on my path, it shouldn't have been. I picked up my pace towards the house. Oh, come on, what do you think's gonna happen? That sunflower is gonna chase after you and murder you? My brain knew it was stupid, but there was something instinctual, a gut feeling, that forced my legs to pump harder. I didn't even bother dropping the feed off at the shed. I raced into the house and locked all the doors. Phew. Safe. I took a final glance out at the sunflower. Then I went into the tiny kitchen and started some water boiling for pasta. By the time I was sitting down to eat, I was shaking my head. So stupid. Afraid of a sunflower. Something woke me up in the middle of the night. I sat up, my neck aching from the crappy pillow they'd left for me. I looked around my tiny bedroom, but nothing seemed amiss. Well, of course there were things amiss, like the peeling paint and the light bulb that flickered and the clogged toilet. But nothing different. I yawned and checked my phone. 3:12 a.m. Sighing, I settled back into sleep. But before I drifted off, I heard it. A small, high-pitched noise. Coming from outside. I slowly forced myself out of bed and walked over to the window. Underneath me, the farm sprawled out into the darkness, but it was distorted in the old glass, shapes and colors bleeding into each other like running paint. I flipped the window lock and pushed it open, the wood squeaking loudly in my ears. I listened. Silence. Then, help me. A voice. A child's voice. Coming from the direction of the cornfield. That's no fucking bobcat. My blood ran cold. I stared out into the darkness, at the cornfield on the edge of the woods, hoping that it was just some lingering dream or something. But as I stood there, the cool summer breeze wafting into the room, I heard it again. Please, help me. The voice wavered, as if the child was crying. I squinted into the darkness, staring at the cornfield. I have to go out there. I remembered the Gershon's rule, but there was no way this was an animal. Hey, I'm coming, don't worry. I shouted out the window. Silence. And then a rustling sound. I squinted at the cornfield, and I could see the stalks moving as something moved within them. Stay where you are. I shouted into the darkness. I'm coming to get you. The cornstalks continued to move, and every muscle in my body froze. The amount of corn moving. There was no way it was just a small child in there. The corn was swaying, dancing, roiling in an area maybe 10 feet across, and it was making its way towards the edge of the field. Rapidly. I shut the window. Then I closed the blinds, my heart hammering in my chest. I raced downstairs and checked the locks. And then, finally, when I was sure I was safe, I called the police. But they wouldn't even come out. There are no missing children in the area, and what you saw was most likely a bear, they explained calmly. I think they must know all about the Gershon's farm. So now I lie here, in my bed, listening the snaps and rustles of the cornstalks. There is a chair wedged under my doorknob. I've triple-checked all the locks, and all I can do is wait for dawn. Story 2. I'm a freshman at a small university. Everyone in my dorm follows a strange set of rules. Part 1. What do you think of when you picture an average college experience? Probably tons of alcohol, wild parties, and the occasional trashy hookup, right? I've had my fair share of all that, sure. But my college experience has been anything but average. And it's all thanks to a strange list of rules that my dorm administered. Thanks for helping me get my stuff moved in. You really didn't have to do that. What's your name again, by the way? Sorry, my short-term memory is kinda shit. Any time, man. I figured if we're gonna be living together for the rest of the year, it couldn't hurt to help you out a bit. The name's Josh. Nice to meet you again, he said, extending his hand. Definitely. I'm Clayton, in case you forgot. I replied, accepting his handshake. Well, Clayton, how's it feel to officially be a college freshman? Pretty cool, huh? I mean, I guess. I'd feel a lot cooler right now if I'd started in the fall like everybody else. Kinda dash. Hey, new kid on the block. Welcome. A boy who appeared to be about my age had seemingly materialized out of thin air, nonchalantly leaning against our open door. He sported an old-school Justin Bieber cut, you know the one I'm referring to, along with a black, long-sleeve Nirvana shirt and ripped jeans. Something felt off about him, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Thanks. It's, nice to meet you. What's Dash? Josh. Have you gone over the list with him yet? I glanced over to my new roommate, slightly perturbed at our visitor's repeated interruptions. Nice to see you too, Bryson. I'll do it later. The guy just got the last of his things moved. At least give him a chance to settle in. Bryson shot him a death glare. His entire aura exuded a malevolence that I'd never felt the likes of in my entire life. The sheer depravity of it sent a chill undulating down my spine. Or now. Now is good, Josh conceded, standing from his bed and ushering me into the hallway. Hey, what gives? I hissed into Josh's ear as I hesitantly followed behind the pair. You'll find out. Gee, thanks, Captain Obvious. Bryson led us to a bulletin board in the common area. He dramatically pointed to it, his deep frown somehow even more pronounced than before. Josh, you know what to do. If I find out that you didn't explain everything to him, I'll dash. I know. You'll give me cement shoes and toss me in the river. Save your empty threats for the next guy, Josh retorted, pursing his lips. Bryson narrowed his beady eyes on Josh, his hands balled into fists. He gave him the once-over before ultimately deciding that it wasn't worth the trouble. Okay, I'll leave you to it then, Bryson huffed, stomping away. Believe it or not, he's actually in a pretty good mood today, Josh said once Bryson was out of earshot. Really? I'd hate to get on his bad side then. What was that all about, anyway? Josh sighed. Bryson is our RA, resident advisor, if you're not familiar with the lingo. He's in charge of going over the dorm rules with you, but I told him I'd do it instead. He'll get in huge trouble if you're not familiar with them, which is why he just graced us with his presence. Got it. Explain away, I guess. They're pretty self-explanatory, to be honest. They really only do this for the knuckleheads who can barely read. You can read, right? Yes. Yes, I can read. Great. So take a look over the rules and ask me if there's anything you get confused about. I'd recommend taking a picture of them if you've got your phone on you. Bryson might be an ass, but he's right about one thing. You need to read over these very carefully. They might seem strange, but it is extremely important that you follow the rules to a T. I could feel an ominous tension sweep through the atmosphere. Josh's sudden tone of severity was a stark contrast to his outgoing personality, and that frightened me. Got it. I'll read over them right now. Good. I'll be chilling in our room. Let me know if there's anything I can clear up. I flashed him a thumbs up as he shuffled back down the hall. Then, I pulled my phone out and snapped a picture of the yellowing, crumpled list tacked to the bulletin board. Josh wasn't kidding. Some of those rules were downright weird. Rules for Eaton Hall. Smoking of any kind is strictly prohibited. If the hallway lights start to flicker and the walls ooze a dark green liquid, return to your room immediately and call the front desk. Do not come out until you receive the all-clear. Never leave your room between the hours of 2:13 a.m. and 3:26 a.m. The night janitor works on a tight schedule. You do not want to disturb him. Alcohol and drug paraphernalia are not allowed under any circumstances. If you receive a knock at your door from someone claiming to be the dorm electrician, politely inform him that the light in the communal restroom is broken. Do not open the door for him. We do not have a dorm electrician. If a letter from Dahlia shows up in your personal mini fridge, tear it into small pieces and flush it down the toilet. Ensure that you do not read its contents. If you come across human body parts for sale in the vending machines, do not panic. Inform the front desk, and they will be properly disposed of. No, they are not real human body parts. All guests must sign out before 11 p.m. Do not speak directly to the little girl in the lobby. Nothing good will come of it. If a man wearing an outdated bowler hat enters the laundry room while you are using it, do exactly as he says. Failure to do so will result in severe consequences. If you hear a loud screech from directly outside your window, lie flat on your stomach and cover yourself with your blankets. Do not remove them until you hear your door shut. No peeking. Most importantly, have fun. Here at Sutherland University, we take pride in providing a stress-free college experience with memories that will last a lifetime. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact your resident advisor. Stay safe. What had I gotten myself into? This had to be some sort of prank. I was pretty gullible, but even I wasn't that easy to fool. Honestly, what could I do, though? Slime oozing from the walls, body parts in the vending machines, no drugs or alcohol. It's not like I was ever going to find myself in a situation where any of those actually applied, right? I slunk back into my dorm room and collapsed on my bed. Josh glanced up from his phone for long enough to acknowledge my presence before returning to whatever media consumed his attention. Done reading the rules? Anything need clarification? He asked, his eyes still glued to the screen. Oh, yeah. What kind of stupid prank are you trying to pull? There's no way I'm believing any of that is real. Not for a second. You and Bryson can take your dumb joke and shove it where the sun doesn't shine. I seethed, crossing my arms and turning toward the wall. Geez man, chill. I know the rules are pretty outrageous, and you probably won't even need most of them, but we didn't make them up. Still don't believe me? Here, read this. It's from last semester. The school tried to have it buried online, but I saved it before they could, he said, tossing his phone to me. I tentatively picked it up and began reading the news article that Josh had pulled up. What I read made my blood run cold. The body of a 20-year-old college student was found in a dormitory bathroom early Tuesday morning. The victim, who is yet to be identified, was a resident of Eaton Hall at Sutherland University. A call came into the local police station at 4:53 a.m. reporting a student's body lying motionless in the shower. According to the report, the deceased was covered in a green slime-like substance. No other details have been made public at this time. If you have any information that could lead to an arrest, police urge you to call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-888-CASH. My jaw fell to the floor. I couldn't believe my eyes, but the evidence was right in front of me. The rules were real, and there were grievous consequences for breaking them. Sorry, I said, handing Josh his phone back. I used to get picked on a lot in high school, and I'd fall for stuff like that all the time. It's just such an insane thing to have to deal with. I didn't know. Hey, no worries. It's water under the bridge. I didn't believe it at first either. Once you have your first run in, it'll wash away all doubts you still have, though. Josh shuddered, a chill rippling through his body. Just pray that your first encounter isn't with the janitor like mine was. I opened my mouth to speak, but the words caught in my throat. Assuming all of this wasn't just some massive ruse, I was in for a long semester. I didn't run into any problems until my second week. I was finally finding a decent balance between partying and getting my homework done when it happened. Hey, don't judge me. I was a sheltered kid my whole life. Of course I was going to go buck wild the second I tasted an ounce of freedom. Anyway, Josh and I were on our way back from a house party that had been shut down by the cops, and we weren't exactly sober. By that time, we'd warmed up to each other and formed quite a bond. That bond was broken too soon. But I digress. Nah, dude. You were definitely shooting your shot, the cute blonde chick at the pong table. Don't lie, man. I saw you. Okay, fine. I was. Too bad she has a boyfriend. We were really hitting it off, I admitted, holding the door for my drunken companion. He clumsily stumbled his way through as I followed suit. He looked real mad too when he saw you goin' after his girl. Shoulda kicked his ass. I might have if he wasn't a foot taller than me. I mean dash. Suddenly, it felt as if a bucket of freezing cold ice water had been dumped onto my back. I could sense a presence. Something sinister that lurked just out of eyesight. I'd been feeling the liquor, but that sobered me up instantaneously. Hello? Earth to clay. You just blue-screened on me, dude. You good? Yeah, I think so. Josh, do you feel that? I dunno, like, the anticipation? I feel like something's about to happen, but I don't know what. It's starting to freak me out. Nah, you sound like a psychic. I can't feel a thing, he said. I could tell. Josh's cheeks burned a bright red when he drank, a telltale sign that he would be zero help if shit hit the fan. The second the front desk became visible, I knew what was causing that tense feeling. My heart began to pound like a jackhammer in my chest and sweat began to pool above my brow. Because I saw a pair of pitch-black eyes peeking at me from behind the counter. They quickly ducked back out of view almost as rapidly as they'd appeared. Tell me you saw that. I can't be the only one, I said as we grew closer and closer to the front desk. Saw what? I think you're losing it, bro. Nothing. You go on up to the room, okay? I'll meet you up there. I'm gonna grab a snack from the vending machine. Got it. I watched Josh stagger away, clumsily stomping down the hall. Then, when he was completely out of sight, I cautiously approached the front desk. As I came into full view, I noticed two things. One, to my surprise, there was someone working that night. And two, the little girl was sitting in the chair beside her. Maybe it was the alcohol or maybe I was just feeling chivalrous, but that wasn't the first stupid decision I'd made that night. I should have just walked away. Hey, how's it going? I said, flashing a grin to the pretty brunette sitting before me. I immediately regretted it. The little girl stared at me intensely. Her soulless eyes sent a chill rippling down my spine. She was even more terrifying up close. She looked like Wednesday Addams if she died and went to hell. Her face was deathly pale, framed by perfectly kept black braids. Her dress looked far outdated, and I could have sworn that I saw little flecks of blood spattered on her shoes. But her smile is what frightened me the most. Her lips were curled into a wicked grin, her decaying yellow-brown teeth on full display for all to see. She'd obviously never heard of a toothbrush. "Oh, it's going all right," the RA said, snapping me from my trance. She didn't even bother to look up. "So, I was just wondering, what's the deal with you-know-who?" I whispered. "Oh, Clarissa? She's all bark and no bite. As long as you don't speak to her. That, and I think it goes without saying, but don't touch her either. She really doesn't like that. And you don't care that she kind of just hangs out here all night?" I asked, glancing back at the motionless child. All the while, Clarissa had that same sinister grin plastered across her face. "I don't really mind. She's a pretty good deterrent for guys who try to hit on me," the girl snarled, finally meeting my gaze. Whoa, whoa. I wasn't trying anything. It's just that my curiosity got the better of me. Kara," I retorted, squinting to catch a glimpse at her name tag. "Well, curiosity killed the cat. Take that to heart," she advised, returning to her phone. "Yeah, thanks," I said, turning to leave. But before I could, a low, demented whisper caught my attention. It was quiet, barely audible even in the silent lobby, but I definitely heard what she said. "Do you want to hear a secret?" I locked eyes with the little girl, who somehow seemed to be smiling even wider than before. Her predatory glare sent adrenaline surging through my veins. Kara sighed, then looked up from her phone. You can't speak directly to her, but you can nod your head yes or no, if you'd like. I'd advise against it, though. Whatever she has to say, it'll probably freak you out. A mental war raged on in my head. Was it really a good idea to communicate with that thing? Of course not. What was it that the rules said? Nothing good can come from speaking to her? I knew that I shouldn't, but again, my curiosity won out. I reluctantly nodded my head in acceptance. The little girl motioned for me to lean down to her level. I hesitantly did so. Clarissa cupped her hands around her mouth, her icy breath funneling into my ear canal. What she told me still gives me chills. I'm the one who puts the bodies in the vending machines. And on that note, I'll be going to my room. Good night, Kara. She grumbled incoherently to herself, staring holes into her phone screen. Needless to say, I did not get much sleep that night.